saying that Nigerian democracy is a democracy that is in progress, and wonderful things continue to happen. Where in my view, without prejudice to whatever that is before the court at the moment, speaking on the facts that is available within our space, the president has taken an action and he has proclaimed a state of emergency in keeping with his constitutional right as enshrined in Section 305, and subsequent actions have been taken. He did his and he forwarded it to the National Assembly, wherein the National Assembly ratified the position of this state of emergency. Entirely, generally, it is my view, and of course, the position as it were, that the president exercised that power which he has, according to law. Subsequently, the National Assembly did what they consider to be theirs, thereby bringing into effect perfectly the state of emergency. And of course, it is okay, as we speak now, that the governors of PDP approach the Supreme Court for an interpretation, a further interpretation. Perhaps before now, hitherto, there has never been a judicial pronouncement or interpretation to this section of the Constitution. As a lawmaker, I do know that the legislature has the power to make laws. And these laws, if they are not yet tested in court, the position on the average of whatever the law says, and for the understanding of an average person on the street, unless and until maybe it is brought before the court for judicial interpretation, which is what probably the state governors have just done to the court and raised a number of issues which they want the court to determine. At this point in time. So I would think that if you ask me, yes, they have the right to approach the court, and I also want to believe that the president exercised his power in the Constitution as provided by law. And of course, if I were to add to that, in Section 305, especially sub 3D of that particular section, the president, we don't need to have a situation, that is why it's called a state of emergency. We don't need to have a situation where maybe the entire country is in flames. I mean, the Constitution, from my little understanding of it, had also given the president the opportunity to act proactively. I mean, where there is an imminent danger in his view. Let's also put these facts before that the president has all the available evidence. The constituency that he has is the entire country, and he has all the apparatus to also assess whatever is going on in the country, has security report at his disposal and all that before he acts. Having said that, we will wait, since the matter is now sub judice, we'll wait for the Supreme Court to give an interpretation of whatever is brought before it. Let me also say the court only acts on facts brought before it. And in this case, the 7 governors have approached the court to say the president doesn't lack the power to suspend an elected official, the governor, deputy governor, and the State House of Assembly. And then also challenging also, like you did mention, the powers of the National Assembly in terms of the modus of operandi, how they acted in terms of the voice vote in this case. For me, as I looked at the Senate, for instance, when they were taking a decision on that, I also do know that in the legislative arm of government, there are decisions you take, I mean, in executive session, and when you come public, I mean, these decisions have been taken unanimously without dissent or overwhelmingly people have taken a position. This position, which has been taken in an executive session, is what usually the principal officers, the presiding officer comes to bring it to the fore.
Okay, Dr. Ayala, we'll just walk around it since it's now sub judice at the end of the day, because as I said in my questioning that if you look at Section 1, subsection 2 of the Constitution, the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall not be governed, or shall any person or group of persons take control of the government of Nigeria or any part thereof, except in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. So there's so many things we could cite as to the unconstitutionality as put forward by a lot of persons who say the president may declare a state of emergency, but suspending elected officials a different kettle of fish. We can't even find the E-word sole administrator. Anyway, but at the end of the day, now let the courts do what they have to do. But we'll continue to speak on these things because the country has to be run by the rule of law, not by the discretional latitude of an executive arm, which will have to always bring back to the issue of law. Let's talk about, when I talk about, I mean the extent of discretional latitude. But let's talk about your constituency that has to do with the National Assembly. A lot of people were disappointed with the action of the National Assembly, not necessarily because they endorse or didn't endorse. The process itself. The Constitution says that it has to be by two-thirds majority. Two-thirds majority. So that's what not even talking about quorum. We're talking about the number of votes. So that means that in the House of Representatives, we needed 240 members to be able to ratify or approve, and the Senate roughly 72, 73. Now, but the House of Assembly, the House of Reps, at least they were kind enough to tell us that there were 243 people in session at plenary, and all said yay, because some people said they had nay, some said they all had yay, and the yay have ayes have it rather at the end of the day. So what I want to find out from you, because this looks like it's very funny to some of us that an issue as divisive as suspending a governor, that is almost a situation where you can argue that majority are saying he can't do it, is getting a unanimous call from the members of the National Assembly. What do you think about that? I want to find out from you because this looks like it's very... Oh dear. Can you hear me, Dr. Ayala? Can you hear me, Dr. Ayala? Can you unmute your device?
I did mention that my understanding in the working of the legislative arm of government, my understanding is that there are decisions usually that are being taken, I mean, in an executive session. An executive session is a place where every legislator comes in there and, of course, issues which is considered very special and thorny. Sometimes those decisions are taken in the executive session. And once a decision is reached by everyone in the executive session, the presiding officers are expected to step forward and talk about the resolution that they've reached in that executive session.